We don't need to be out there to benefit. As in any industry, the best discoveries will be, the best innovations will be copied by the rest of the players in the market. If they're slow to copy, the slower they are to copy, the more they'll fall behind. And of course, the worst ideas won't be copied and won't be scaled up. Russia tried a new political idea last century, transformed itself into the Soviet Union, and killed more than 20 million people. They should have tried it on a smaller scale first. So seasteading is a new approach to fixing government. We have endless arguments about social problems and solutions, and in some cases, the arguments have continued for centuries. With seasteading, and we try to convince 51% of our fellow citizens of our ideas. With seasteading, you don't need to persuade hundreds of millions of people. You just need a small group of passionate people who want to create a new society and change the world. We can demonstrate our ideas instead of arguing about them, and we can compete with government instead of complaining about it, or as well as complaining about it. We sometimes point to examples of other countries with different systems. We can look at West and East Germany, North and South Korea, Hong Kong, and China. Imagine a multitude of Hong Kongs floating off the coasts of America, filled with Americans and people from around the world. These are places that you can visit, that your friends will visit, that will be big in tourism, and people will see for themselves the different way that they can live. In this way, we have this impact on the entire world and introduce competition into government. And we don't need to impose our views on everyone else. And we don't need to accept the impositions of everyone else upon us. I no longer think that I know the best form of government for everyone. Those who disagree with me aren't wrong. They're just different. Some of them are wrong. Some of them are different. At the Seasteading Institute, we're growing our community of pioneers and conducting research into the engineering, legal, and business challenges of seasteading. We think seasteading will begin in the next few years on retrofitted cruise ships, repurposed for businesses like tourism. In a decade, they'll progress to custom-built platforms similar to oil rigs, hosting thousands of people with a multitude of different businesses. And in several decades, they'll evolve into true floating cities with millions of people and a diverse range of political and social systems. It's urgent that we get these experiments started as soon as possible. Today's governments are increasingly outdated and unable to cope with new problems like managing intellectual property law in a way that fosters innovation. And they're even failing very badly at very old problems like balancing elections. So we need to find the next generation of government technology and the generations after that. We need to find banking systems that survive inevitable financial crises, regulations or other systems that foster progress, that protect people while fostering progress, and new political systems that protect and cater to citizens and don't neglect and abuse them. I can talk about specific policies or systems, but there is so much more potential here than any of us can dream of today. If it was 1985 and we were building the platform that becomes the internet, we could try to guess at what this new platform would enable. And we might predict a few things like email and online retail, but you would never predict the millions of web apps and websites that we find so useful. If there were only 200 websites, as there are today only 200 governments, then they would do many things very badly and a lot of things not at all. The role of the Seasteading Institute is not to set policies for seasteaders. We want to create a platform for government experimentation, and we'll let the entrepreneurs and nation founders demonstrate their ideas. Also, we are a research institute. We don't build the seasteads ourselves. The seasteading movement is much bigger than the Seasteading Institute, and the people who create actual seasteads will be the entrepreneurs who are getting the water very soon, and I'll talk about one in particular that's coming up next year. There are business opportunities that seasteading is uniquely suited for. Medical tourism is already a multi-billion-dollar industry. Americans will travel all over the world to get treatments that are not yet approved by the FDA, or that are just much cheaper than that you can get in America. If you could travel 12 miles up the coast of San Francisco or New York, that would be much cheaper, faster, and much bigger for you if you're very sick. Aquaculture, the farming of fish, is of course suited to seasteading because fish are public property. The oceans are currently public property. You're all familiar with the tragedy of the commons. Yeah, that's nodding. Fish stocks around the world are declining, so the price of fish is increasing, so this becomes increasingly lucrative over time. Being on the ocean is a lot of fun, so tourism is a possibility for seasteading. Knowledge work of all kinds, so programming, writing, graphic design, anything you do over the phone, technical support, customer service, psychotherapy, legal advice, all candidates for seasteading. And in fact, I'm just talking about the next few years. You can do these right now. In a few decades, almost every industry would be represented on seasteads, except perhaps large-scale farming and national parks. Leave that to land. The first seasteading venture was founded last year. It's called Blue Seed, and they're building a tech incubator off the coast of San Francisco. It's for people who want to live and work in Silicon Valley, but can't because they can't get a visa. America's immigration process is awful, but it's much easier to get a business visa to travel in and out of America. So people can live and work on this boat, a retrofitted cruise ship, and come ashore for about 180 days, or up to 180 days per year. So you get the benefits of being in Silicon Valley. You can be in the same time zone, and you can meet with venture capitalists and clients and partners while not having a visa to be there. They have some funding from Peter Thiel and a few others, and expect to be in the water next year. There are some bad business ideas that come up a lot. Actually, not necessarily bad, but they're just before their